Hey friends, how's it going and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about reactive programming, which is Combine framework. And I think it's important because it's really an important skill to have, especially we are on iOS 16 right now. So Combine framework has been out since iOS 13, so it's about a good 2 years. And I want to make this video to just increase more content on Combine framework on YouTube because I don't feel that there are many good tutorials. So whenever I learn something, I like to share it and hopefully you can benefit from it as well. So I've made several videos on Combine framework, but today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about a framework called CombineCocoa. So if you have used RX Swift before, you'll be familiar with RX Cocoa. So CombineCocoa is probably the same thing, just made for Combine framework. And I'm going to show you a couple of methods, why is it convenient to use this library and how you can really increase maybe your efficiency when you code. And also I want to talk about a method in Combine framework which is called FlatMap. It's not really a method in Combine framework, but you use FlatMap to transform publishers into new publishers and how this can be really helpful and how it increases readability in your code as well. Okay, so the demo project that I will use to illustrate these principles is a travel booking app. Okay, so it's not really an app. I only have one page over here. So this is the view controller says booking option. Is basically a booking form. You can think of this like, TripAdvisor, or you're making some kind of hotel booking or some holiday app. So over here, I have two sections here. I have the final price. So currently it's $0 because I have not selected my destination, the number of passengers, and the seat type. So let's assume that this is like taking a flight, okay? So I want you to think, how are you going to implement this if you do not know reactive programming or you are not using Combine framework? So maybe let me just quickly show you what it does. Okay, so I click my destination. I'm going to click on Singapore. And then I'm going to select double, maybe 2 passengers here. And then I'm going to select the seat type, which is economy. All right, so immediately I reflect the price, $200. If I want to take the business class, of course, it's a 50% more expensive. So it's going to be $300. And then every destination has a different price. So Taipei will cost 2 times more and Seoul will cost 3 times more. Okay, so I want you to think, how are you going to implement this without using Combine framework? So chances are you'll be using, you'll be declaring properties and having a bunch of did sets, to observe those properties. So basically, when one of the property, maybe destination, changes, you're going to check through what are the other values inside the other parameters and then run through some kind of function to calculate the price. All right. So I want to show you how you can use Combine framework together with CombineCocoa and the FlatMap to achieve this so that your code looks something like this. Okay, so it's really short, less than 150 lines of code. So I already copied my code in Visual Studio Code, which I'm going to use as my guide. So I'm going to just discard all changes inside over here, and I want to show you how we can build this together. All right, so let me just quickly run this one more time on the simulator, and I want to show you how the view the storyboard looks like so you get an idea. So so just look at this one over here first. So this is quite a simple view. I have 2 sections over here. The final price, logo, this is a label, another label over here, and we have 3 different segmented controls over here, matching destination, number of passengers, and seat type, and finally a book button that really does nothing. Okay, so let's get started to implement this. Okay, so let's first integrate the CombineCocoa framework. So let's add this via CocoaPods. Okay, but before that, now this is what it looks like when I run the simulator. Nothing is really happening right now when I tap on this because there is no implementation over here. We only have the IB outlets and that's it. So let's start by integrating the library. So let's come under Holiday App. I call this app Holiday App, and let's add that dependency over here. So CombineCocoa, And let's select up to next minor version. So we'll get this one over here. Okay, so what are we going to do? So let's first let's create those models, okay? So let me just look over here. So we have destination, we have number of passengers, and we have a seat type. And since we have segmented controls, we want to define what are the values inside this object. Okay, so I'm going to use enums to define this. So let's get started by creating some enums over here. So let's do enum. Let's call this destination. Okay, so what are the destinations that I want to have? I'm going to have just three very simple destinations. Okay, since I'm in Singapore, I'm biased, I'm going to put Singapore over here, and then I'm going to do Taipei, and then Seoul, which is in South Korea. Okay, and then I'm going to define the cost of going to these destinations. Okay, so cost per passenger. Okay, this is a double. So switch self. So to make this simple, it's going to cost 100 to come to Singapore, 200 to go to Taipei, and 300 to go to Seoul. Okay, so I have this destination enum created already. So how do I programmatically set those options over here based on the enum? So I don't want to hard code this. I want this to be dynamic based on the values that I declare in the enum. All right, so if you do not know how to do this, I'm going to share with you how you can do that. So I'm going to create a private function over here called setup views. And of course, we want to call the setup views inside view.load. Okay, and then we want to set up the destination segmented control, which we have an IB alert already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just wrap this inside an array. So for each, I'm going to do remove all segments. And you might be asking, why am I putting that in an array? Because I plan to put all three of them inside the array so that we can reset all of these segmented controls even before we start. Okay, so I'm going to reset all of them, and then I'm going to manually programmatically add them in. Okay, so what I can do is that I need to conform to case iterable so that I can use destination. I can get all the values as an array. Okay, and lastly, I also want to conform this to string so that I can get the raw values from this array as well. Okay, so let's do destination dot all cases. Okay, let me see how I implement that. All cases, and then let's do enumerated. Okay, why do we do that? So that we can get the index. Okay, so for each, okay, so maybe let's do value and index, and then I'm going to do destination segmented control dot insert segment at, okay, with title. So the title will be value dot, is it dot raw value? Do I have that? Okay, let me see. I think the index is here first and the value is here. Okay, so value dot raw value, and then the index is this, and animated, I think I'm going to set this to be false. All right, so let's run the simulator and let's see if we are inputting all the values. Okay, what's the problem here? Oh, I need to put string in front here. Okay, let's run this on the simulator and let's see. Okay. All right, so it looks like it's good right now. I have Singapore, Taipei, and Seoul inside the segmented control. To make this a little bit nicer, let me just do capitalize. Do I have capitalize? Let's run this one more time so that it will all start with uppercase. Okay, it looks nice now. So I'm going to do the same for the second part, which is number of passengers. So right at the bottom, let's do number of passengers. Again, I'm gonna make this double and case iterable over here. So we have single, and then we have double. Alright, so why do I need to conform to double? It's because I want to do some kind of multiplication and processing when the user selects either single or double. Okay, so I'm going to do var, let's call this double value. Double value will be of double, switch self, return 1.0, return 2.0. Okay. All right, so now let's apply the same principle inside over here. So number of passengers dot all cases dot enumerated dot for each index value, and then I'm going to do number of passenger segmented control, same thing over here, value dot raw value, and then let's also do capitalize here, and then index, and then false. Okay, so let's run the project, and I believe we should see single and double. Okay, so this is a sound implementation. Let's do for the last one. Okay, so the last one, I'm just going to copy this inside because you have seen the principle which I've used to apply. So this one is seat type. So same principle. We have a price multiplier over here. So for economy, it's 1. For business, it's 1.5. Again, why do I have this price multiplier? So that for the business class, we can say that we can make it more expensive. All right, it's just a way for us to define how we compute the pricing. All right, so now that we have this, I'm going to paste this one inside as well. So over here, okay, so seat type, all cases, everything else is the same. Let's run this on the simulator, and let's hope for the values to pop up, which it is showing up right now. Okay, great. So now what I want to do right now is I want to be able to know the selection every time the user taps on any of these values inside the segmented control. And when I say the value, I don't mean the index of the segmented control, because you can quite easily do that. And then once you get the index, you can check what the value is according to the enum, right? You can use all cases and check the index within that array. So I'm going to show you how we can use CombineCocoa to do that, as well as the FlatMap, okay? So right at the top, I'm going to import CombineCocoa. Okay, so what this allows me to do is something like this. So let me just do a quick demo to show you. So destination. Okay, so let's assume that destination publisher is type any publisher. Oh, okay, that's because I've not import Combine framework yet. So combine any publisher. Okay, so int never. I can actually return destination segmented control dot selected segment index publisher. All right, so this property is actually by CombineCocoa. So I need to do var. So what's the beauty of this? Is so that I can actually observe it. So let me show it to you. Observe. Let's come over to the bottom here. Private func observe. I can do destination publisher dot sync index, and then let's print out this index, and then obviously I have to store it somewhere to hold the reference, and let's create a cancelables. There'll be set any cancelable. Let's copy this and let's put that over here. Okay, so let me just run this on the simulator right now, and you can see that when I tap on the destination segmented control, I will see what's being printed out. 0, 1, 2. All right, so it's very similar to you having a IB action and then getting the index from the sender. Okay, but this time you have it in the form of a publisher instead. Okay, so what if I don't want to get the index, but rather I want to get the destination itself? Okay, one way to do it is something like let destination equals to destination dot all cases, and then you do something like index, and then you print destination, right? So this is one way to do this. So let's see. Okay, it's going to crash because I think at the start it returns -1. I'm not really sure why that happens. So maybe let's do it this way instead. All cases dot indices contained index. Let's do if let. Then let's print this one. Okay. If let if destination contains index. Yeah, okay. Then index. All right. So let's run this and let's see if we are seeing the destination when I tap on this. So Singapore, I should say Singapore, 0 Singapore, 1 Taipei, 2 for Seoul. All right, it looks quite okay. But what happens if we want to combine this together? In fact, we can, and let me show it to you how we can do that. Okay, so now instead of doing this, we can use FlatMap. And what FlatMap does is that it transforms a publisher into another publisher. So let me show it to you how we can do that. Okay, so now rather than returning the integer, I want to return the destination instead. Okay, so what I can do is that I can actually call FlatMap. Okay, so FlatMap, this would return, so $0 will be the index, okay, which is what the original value was. But this time I want to return, okay, so let me show it to you. If destination dot all cases dot indices dot contain $0, then I'm going to return just. So just is also another convenient publisher. I'm going to do like this, index, and then I have to erase to any publisher. Otherwise, I have to return empty, erase to any publisher, and we erase to any publisher as well. All right, so I know it's a bit of a handful, but basically we are mapping into this one over here, okay, that returns the destination object instead of the integer. Okay, what's the problem? $0. Okay, so command B to build, it should build successfully. Okay, so now if we are to come over here, this will be destination now, and then let's print out destination. All right, so let's see what happens over here. So when I tap on Singapore, I should see Singapore, Taipei, and Seoul. All right, so isn't this cleaner? It's debatable, I guess. But this is the way you can actually convert or transform from one publisher to a different publisher. So the initial publisher, this one over here, returns the integer. But because we perform a flat map over here, we are returning another publisher, and it's actually the just publisher. And we erase to any public. It feels like a tongue twister. We return the just publisher, and the object of this just publisher is actually the destination enum. Okay, so I'm going to show you. So now that you understand this principle, I'm going to paste the other two over here. So they are very similar. Number of passenger publisher and seat type publisher. Okay, so number of passenger, do we have that already? Number of passenger, oh, it should be number of passenger. Okay, so I think somewhere else is going to break as well. So it's number of passenger instead of number of passengers. Okay, command B to build this build succeeded. Okay, so what is the advantage of using reactive programming? It's such that when one of these properties change, we can actually react to that. Okay, that's why it's called reactive. Okay, so the way we can do that is to observe them. All right, so how do we observe them? So okay, but before that, you know what, I want to show you the rest of the other publishers as well. So we have number of passengers, publisher. Okay, so number of passengers. Let's paste this here, and then seat type, publisher, seat type. So let's first run this to ensure that the basics are fulfilled. Okay, so when I hit on single, I see single, business, I see business, economy, so Taipei and Singapore. All right, so now we are observing individual publishers. What we want to do now is that we want to be able to react when one of them changes so that we can compute what the price should reflect. Okay, so how do we do that? Okay, so we can use publishers dot combine latest. Okay, so we want to combine 3 of these publishers together, so we select combine latest 3, and then what we do is that we pass in destination publisher, number of packs publisher, as well as seat type publisher into it, and then we call the method sync. Okay, so what the sync do is that it observe when any of this publisher changes, it can perform a certain function. Okay, so inside this closure, it will be destination, number of passengers, number of passenger, and then seat type. Okay, and then what we can do here is, let me have a look at my, all right, okay, so we can compute the price. So how do we get the price? Let's do let price equals to destination, because we know that every destination has a price. So the cost per passenger, all right, so dot cost per passenger, we multiply it by the number of passengers. Okay, so number of passengers, oh sorry, it should be this one, number of passenger dot double value, and then we multiply it by the seat type dot price multiplier. All right, because if you take economy, it's you pay the default fee. If you take business, you pay 50% more. All right, so we have we compute the price this way, and then we can store the price we can set the price to the label. So we can do it this way, week self. So self dot price, final price label dot text equals to I think we need to do string. Okay, there's a way to do it actually, is price dot formatted dot currency, and the code is US dollar. All right, so let me just quickly run this and let's see what we get. Okay, so now the price is $0. Okay, because this is what I added inside the storyboard. So now I'm going to select Singapore, and I'm going to select single, and then I'm going to select business. So now you notice that the price is actually being updated. So when I go to economy, it changes. All right, so again, this is how we can use FlatMap and CombineCocoa. So probably the last one as a bonus, let me share with you how you can use CombineCocoa for the book button as well. So I did not plan for this, but maybe I can just quickly show it to you. So let's assume that you have this book button over here. So I'm going to add an IB outlet to this. So typically you would add an IB action, right? You usually won't add the IB outlet unless you want to change the property of the button. Maybe you want to change the color, which you don't usually do that, all right? So let's do a book button over here. Okay, so now we have the book button. We can create a publisher to listen to this button. Okay, so you can do inside the observe function, we can listen to the tab publisher of this button. Okay, so it's book button dot, there is a tab publisher. All right, so this tab publisher property is from CombineCocoa, as you can see over here. So what we can do is that we can do a sync. We can do book button tab, and then we can store it over here. Okay, so let me just run this. And then we should see that when the book button is being tapped on, the print statement is being called. Okay, so all right, so yep, I guess that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you find this helpful. It's a bit of a slightly longer video, but I hope that I get to bring my point across. And finally, for CombineCocoa, if you check out the documentation, you know, it attaches itself to many UI components as well, like text field, segmented, slider, button, and a bunch of others. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and leave me any questions if you have any, and I'll see you in the next one.